What's up, everyone? Welcome to Two Off the Tee on Fantasy Six Pack. I am your host, Keith Flemming, joined as always by my good friend, Alan, aka Actively Lazy 85, aka my favorite degenerate gambler. What's going on, Alan?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to get my bearings back from vacation.
Oh, nice. I went on a little vacation myself. Rained a little bit too much down in St. Simons, but that's okay. Carpath only, though, is no good, man. You know.
My hotel caught on fire, so
Whoa,
hey.
that top spot. I need to hear a little more.
Yeah, no, I was actually taking a break from going to the horse racing track and everything in Sam Houston, and I came back and the hotel was dark, and I was like, well, this is strange. I've never seen a dark hotel.
Is your stuff okay?
Yeah, my stuff was okay, thankfully, which was a blessing. And then I was basically homeless for about 6 hours. They were trying not to put me in another hotel, so it ended up happening. Ironically, this is why I hate Texas. But they put me in a hotel, but also fully refunded me the money of my stay, which I think was supposed to have been just a voucher, not like cash back in my account. And you would think, like, hey, you just got like 550, man. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm going to the casino or something, man. I got, nope, because Texas, you can't gamble. There's nothing there.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's kind of a disappointing ending.
it was awful.
Did you watch any of the golf tournament last week? Happy for
Um,
Keegan?
no, I had to work last weekend, so that really hurt me. I got alerts and everything, and it was funny because I noticed Rory was doing what we expect Rory to do. Like, he's not really in contention. He roars back, but it just wasn't enough. I'm happy Keegan finished it off, though, man. He seemed really ecstatic about it too. It looked like for a second he was gonna choke it away, but again, like, all I had was alerts. Like, when I work the weekends, it's not like during the week where I can kind of casually watch and dump things off on my coworkers. There's only one of us there on the weekend, so I can't watch anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was definitely a little shaky there in the middle. Luckily, he had a big enough lead where it didn't really ever uh, come into jeopardy of losing.
Mhm.
I'm amazed the guys on tour, looking at you, Patrick Cantley, who he had a chance to win that tournament. The lead was 3. That was when Bradley was falling apart. Cantley was right there. He had 2 holes left. And just like we see this with Rory and other guys all the time, it's like they get back into contention. And then the minute they can grasp it, they do what they can't do. Where he made a bogey, the lead went to 4. I believe he parred 18, but I mean, anyway, he probably needed to go birdie to win. But I mean, say he par 17, birdies 18. Then it's a 2-shot lead. Who knows what happens coming down the stretch, especially with Bradley playing. It really does amaze me the way some of these guys, they just can't seem to do it when the pressure shifts. They're so good when they're kind of out of contention, and then just the minute that they can actually feel the victory, they become totally different golfers. It's something I said for forever. It's why it's such a mental game. It's just absolutely insane. I'm mad at myself for not betting Keegan this last week. What did we talk about before the PGA Championship? Keegan plays great up in the Northeast. I know that, and I whiffed it. So not happy about that, but I am very happy for Keegan. We're going to get into the Rocket Mortgage Classic here in just a second. It'll probably be a shorter episode because, to be honest, this is not a big event. But real quickly before we do that, you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You get access to the Discord, award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today. Use that promo code F6PMLB for 15% off. It's well worth it, especially with football season right around the corner. So be sure to check that out. This week, we've got Detroit Golf Club. It's a non-elevated event, and that's the one thing that's, I don't know about for you, but it's been a little disappointing this year. Is just, you have all these big events. I think there's 12 or 14 when you include the majors. And then some of these, they seem even more lacking than in the past because you kind of get used to having all those big names, not to mention the people that have left because of live, etc. And then like this week, Max Homa, only top 10 player in the world in this field. Only 8 of the top 30 players in the official world ranking in the field. You do have past champions, Nate Lashley, Cam Davis, Tony Finau. Obviously, Bryson DeChambeau is not there. Other notable names, you do have some, stars, Colin Morikawa, Sung JM, Hideki, JT, Keegan Bradley, my boy Ricky. But it is kind of a bummer, right, when you have these non-elevated events?
Yes and no. I mean, it's an opportunity for some guys that are just looking to get some momentum to kind of get a chance to play in a less pressured environment. Like I'm happy for like Ricky Fowler, guys like Justin Thomas that are searching for their old game. It's good for them to get in an event like this where I wouldn't call it practice, but it's not the same pressure as a major and the elevated event. I think that helps some of these guys just kind of enjoy the game. Like this should be a fun event. You want to be competitive, but at the end of the day, it ain't like you just lost, in Augusta or something like that. So I think, it does give some credibility when you got past master champion like Hideki in there. Finau still a solid golfer. Max Homa at one point was looking to be one of the top 10 guys on tour, and he's obviously still ranked top 10. Ricky Fowler is still in there. And then you got some of the younger guys like Kim who are in there. Sung JM is in here. So I think we're, as golf fans, and I'm just speaking as a non-gambler at this point, that golf fans have gotten spoiled a little by the elevated events. And I've even seen on Twitter and even some of the threads like online where people are making comments like, oh, this sucks, or so-and-so's not here. Why are we watching this? Like, it used to not matter. Like, you used to watch because you like golf, And I'm looking at it like, hey, it's an opportunity for me to gather some data. Here's an opportunity for me to see if Justin Thomas has turned his game around, if Colin Morikawa is turning his game around, because he hasn't putted worth a damn in the last there's
a lot of that going around.
All this season, actually.
Oh my God!
All
dude.
this
just
season,
make a few
actually.
Putts. He would have won like 6 times this year.
If Morikawa can make a few putts, he have some wins, And so I'm looking to watch people. I'm actually more interested in this event than I have been in past events, because we knew what guys had. We knew what Scotty, Rahm, and those guys had. We knew what Brooks had going into the majors and things like that. This is an opportunity for us as fans and as gamblers to see who's making progress and who can we get ahead of for the next major and the next elevated event.
All right, so it's funny you say that. Let's move on to the Detroit Golf Club. I don't know what I tried to say there. The Rocket Mortgage Classic. This is the 5th time this has been held at Detroit Club. We've had 2 long shot winners and 2 heavy favorite winners. So a little bit of both sides of the board. To your point, there's some potential here, right? For winning some money, obviously. DeChambeau was one of the heavy winners, Tony Finau last year. And then, like I said, mixed in with your boy, Cam Davis, and Nick Lashley, who both won at over 100-1 odds.
When Lashley won, was it one of those events where he needed to win the qualifier or get his tour card or something?
I'm not sure. It was 2019, so
okay.
that's.
I feel like one of the Rocket Mortgages was won by somebody that just happened to have an exemption or something like that. I don't know.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
Now you got my.
It rings a bell for some reason.
This golf club measures 7,300 yards. It doesn't. It's kind of on the shorter side for PGA Tour standards these days. You've had a lot of different types of golfers on the leaderboards over the 4 years. Last year, it really was distance off the tee that really stood out. You had the all 4 of the top 4 were in the top 20 in driving distance in the field. That was Finau, Cantley, Pendrith, Cam Young. Of the top 15 finishers in 2022, only 2 were outside the top 30 in driving distance for the week. So it played a huge part. This course does not feature many water or lateral hazards. It's kind of a traditional old school country club, even though it's considered a golf club. It's tree lined, wider fairways. It makes it a little bit less of a positional test than many of the other recent venues that lack distance. But, I still think due to the non-penal rough, lack of hazards, the accessible greens, this course is friendly to bomb and gouge, at least as much as any course these guys are going to play this year. But I think that it's more of a second shot course. And I'm also really looking at good to elite putting. It's the one true trend all 4 years that has stood out across the board. Like you look top 10 each year, it's guys that have putted well, not just for the event, but for the season. So I'm going to lean heavily on the best putters in the field. History has shown this is not a course where poor putters have suddenly putt well. That's not good for Colin Morikawa. That's not good for Justin Thomas, even though Justin Thomas, I'll get to him in a little bit. But that's just some of the things I'm looking at. Comp courses, TPC Twin Cities. This is, by the way, a Donald Ross course, so you can pretty much look up any Donald Ross course. They're all in somewhat similar. Sedgefield Country Club, TPC Deer Run, TPC River Highlands, TPC Craig Ranch. I also looked at any courses that, there's been low scoring this year because it's going to be a low scoring fest. It always is. Top 10 players in comp course history for the courses I mentioned: Sung J M, Tony Finau, Cam Davis, Tom Kim, Max Homa, Harris English, who, by the way, withdrew, so make sure that you do not have him on your betting card or DK lineups. Mark Hubbard, JT, CT Pan, Alex Noren. The key stats, I'm looking strokes gained off the tee, driving distance being the big one there, strokes gained putting on Poana. I'm looking at recent events, the last 10, but it's okay if you want to just go for the entire season. Birdies are better gained, and these are, almost every week, par 4 and par 5 scoring. Strokes gained approach, I'm struggling. Like strokes gained total on easy courses. Any of, the stats that you really leaned into this week?
I'm just going to keep it simple, which usually does well for me. Just focusing on precision, strokes gained approach. I noticed the putting trend too, but at this point in 2023, I'm just like, how do you even calculate this shit anymore, man? Like every time I'm like, this guy's putter's looking like it's warming up. Wrong.
I use it as a tiebreaker. To be
honest. I get it.
Like when I'm looking at guys and ranges and stuff, I'm trying to find, like, especially for DK this week. So if I'm picking somebody in the 74 to 7,800 range, I'm looking, okay, who's the best putters out of that group?
Yeah, it's just been hard for me to figure out anything other than talking trash about Adam Scott's putter, which has been very consistent for me, but he never lets me down. So I ironically shifted my focus to short game rather than ball striking as my tiebreaker. So anything that remotely resembled a short game attribute, if somebody was excelling or leaning into that, when you hear the names on my list, you'll see it's heavy on the top players on tour right now and approach shots, and heavy on guys that have just been consistent with their precision.
All right, some of these stats I've been going through these the last couple of weeks in my article. I just think it gives people a list of names to consider. I'm going to run through these real quickly. Top 10 in this field in driving distance. We talked about how that's a key factor. Byung-Hong An, Joseph Bramlett, Vincent Norman, Will Gordon. This one shot me. Jimmy Walker. Look at Jimmy Walker still poking it out there.
Isn't he like 100 years old?
He's old, for sure. I was shocked to see his name on that list. Ludwig Aberg, young player with a lot of talent. Expect big things from him. Sam Stevens, Kevin Yu, Garrett Higo, S.H. Kim. Next, top 10 in strokes gained approach, but they also rank above average in that proximity of 75 to 150, which the majority of the approaches will be this week. This list should not surprise you. Colin Morikawa, Tony Finau, Max Homa, Hideki, Christian Buzenhout, Nate Lashley, Tom Ken, Davis Riley, Satoshi Kadora. I hope I said that right.
I almost picked him.
And Tom Hoge. I was looking at Kadora because he hadn't played a lot this week. This year, only 10 events. And then the last one, I like to do these kind of combined stats. And these are sort of guys I really pay attention to. All of these players are above average in the following categories: strokes gained approach, driving distance, par 5 scoring, par 4 scoring, and comp course history. And when I say above average, obviously that literally means the top half of the field. It's not a very big list. Tony Finau, Max Homa, Taylor Moore, Justin Thomas, Keegan Bradley, Byung-Hun An, Austin Eckert, Cam Davis, Alex Smalley. So again, those lists are just kind of giving our listeners or people that read my column just other names, especially if you're somebody who just goes by feel, or you have a particular category that you want to lean into. Which again, there's no exact science to this stuff. I just think that those kind of help a little bit. Anything you want to add on the course or just the key stats before we move into like the DFS and bets?
I'd be very cautious on Justin Thomas in general. Like, his game just doesn't look like it's there. I'm also going to be very cautious on Colin Morikawa, who ironically I keep picking in majors and stuff because I'm like, the approach game is there, man, and it could very well be.
It's our old rule, though.
Yeah, that at some point he's going to start sinking putts, and you're going to be, though everybody but probably you and I will be surprised how easy he wins when he starts making putts, because it's literally the only thing stopping him. But it's two guys that I think are going to be looking to work on their game more so than actually win. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I think they have their eyes on bigger picture stuff. And I always reference Brooks with this, but he's not the first golfer that doesn't take events like this seriously. He just tries to work on his game. But I think he's the most vocal golfer when it comes to that. And I think JT and Morikawa are kind of along the same lines. Like, they're going to come in, they're going to compete with their natural talent. But I think at the end of the day, they're both looking to just solidify their putting and just clean up their game a little because they want to win like the Open.
Completely agree with everything you just said. Yeah. All right. DFS lineup this week. Again, you can check out this column on fantasy6pack.net, as well as I go over my picks on ESPN Northwest Florida Radio with our good friends of the show, Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley, who they come on the majors. I'm sure they'll be back for the Open Championship.
Yeah, I keep trying to call during your segment. I keep forgetting.
That's okay. I'm fine with you calling during my segment. Somebody needs to get me in shape. So this week, I'm going with Fowler anchoring my official lineup. I think this is his week. If you remember last year, we were saying a lot of the same things about Fowler that we were Tony Finau. Would he ever win again? What was it going to take? He always was, there, but couldn't get it done. He's been in the mix in every tournament over the last month. He continued that great play last week. The unbelievable third round 60 on his way to a 13th place finish. And you can't blame Fowler for Sunday. He got stuck with slow-ass Patrick Cantlay, so that's not his fault. He finished inside the top 15 in 8 of his last 9 PGA events. And I just, as we continue saying this, I just don't think people understand how hard it is on the PGA Tour to be that consistently good. Like, yes, obviously you'd rather win, but to be top 15, he's, I think, now done it in like 13 of his last 15 events. It's just incredible playing. He's top 6 in the field in strokes gained total, strokes gained ball striking, strokes gained short game, strokes gained approach, strokes gained putting, and he's first in DK scoring because he makes so many birdies. He's just overdue. I like him a lot this week. He's anchoring. He's in most of my lineups. Like, I like Fowler actually better than Morikawa or Finau, who are the only people that are more expensive than him, just because he's so consistent. Another player in that price range I gave this week is Keegan Bradley, 9,200. I am concerned about him coming off a win, but this course sets up so well for him. And if Keegan continues to putt well, Keegan is add him to the list, right? We talk about these other guys. When these elite ball strikers start putting well and go through stretches, they play really well because it's the only kind of downside of their game. I am going with Justin Thomas in my official lineup. Now, but I want to caveat this by saying I don't know if I could bet on JT to win, but I do think that for DraftKings, his upside is worth at this price at $10K. He said he found something last week at the Travelers Championship, literally between Thursday and I get that, but he did go on to shoot 64, 62, 67. He did gain strokes on the greens in all 3 of those rounds, which is obviously huge. Ended up 9th place. He's currently 113th in the field in putting. So obviously it's not good, but he did show some signs last week. The other parts of Thomas's game, like Morikawa, they're as good as they've ever been. Top 15 strokes gained total, tee to green, ball striking. Other thing I really like, he's second in the field in strokes gained around the greens. And I just think he's underpriced for what he's capable of. And I really like anchoring my lineup with a consistent player in Fowler, and then adding Thomas, who has more, obviously he's a wild card. I get that. But there's more upside, tremendous upside. And somebody like JT potentially this week. I really like them as kind of the anchor of my lineup, especially I feel pretty good about the lower price guys this week. Another guy in this price range, originally I had Harris English, go Dogs. Thanks, Harris, for withdrawing. So I'm going to go with the young kid, Ludvig Alberg from Sweden.
Hold on. At least he withdrew before the tournament.
You're damn right. Because how many times have we gotten screwed? I hate it.
I'm cool with it before the tournament.
Yeah, and they don't. What bothers me is they'll withdraw even before the event starts. But I think DK purposely does not put that stat up to where you don't see it till after the tee times have started, then you've lost your money.
Yeah.
Next in the lineup, Austin Eckwright. Man, is this kid on fire? 8K this week, having a great run. Last 5 events, he's finished no worse than 30th. 3 top 20 finishes. In that span, he's made 84 birdies, at least 1 eagle in his last 3 events. So he's making plenty of birdies and eagles in a scoring fest field. 40th in the field of strokes gained putting, so above average on the greens. 11th stroke gained off the tee, so he's, near the top for, again, that driving we're looking at. Over his last 5 events, he's gaining 2.4 strokes on the field in both of those categories, puttings and strokes gained off the tee, and significant strokes, or at least a stroke or more in all other significant categories. I really like him. Brandon Wu, 7,500. He is in my lineup for the simple reason he makes a lot of birdies and he plays easy course as well. He's 10th in the field in DK scoring, despite being the 34th most expensive player. That means he makes a lot of birdies and eagles. And he finished 9th at the Canadian Open, easy event. 23rd at the Byron Nelson, easy event. 3rd at the Mexico Open, easy event. I just think that he is going to feast on this. He does very well again in low-scoring events. So another option in this price range, Christian Buzenhout, 7,700. Another guy, same thing, does well in all these easy tournaments. All of his best finishes this year have been in events that the scoring has gone deep. And he's actually one of the few players in the field who has made the cut each time he has played in this event. I'm going to go with Nate Lashley, 7,300. We talked about him. He won the inaugural tournament. He has not had success in there since the 2 missed cuts, like a T55th. But it was fascinating, Alan. I don't know if you read that none of the guys who won this event even had a top 30 finish the year before. So they either didn't play or it had a top 30 finish. So it's kind of wild, like that, course history is not really a big deal this week. He's in good recent form. He's got 5 top 40 finishes last 7 events. And again, he played well. You're going to see this theme over and over again in my picks. Played well in the easier events. Canadian Open, Byron Nelson, Mexico Open, 3 of the highest, lowest, however you want to say it. They went the deepest in those events. He's made 14 or more birdies in 8 of his last 12 events. That means he's going to score points. He scored 70 or more points on DK in 4 of his last 6, which for a guy in this range, it's a lot of points. That's the main reason he's 20th in the field in DK scoring, despite being in this lower price range. And then closing out my official lineup, Aaron Baddeley, 6,700. He burnt me bad at the Canadian Open. I was all in on Aaron Baddeley, and he missed the cut. But I'm going to give him another shot this week. He's done well at other low-scoring events this year, again, including top 40 finishes at the Charles Schwab, Byron Nelson, Mexican Open. But what I like about Baddeley is his ability on and around the greens. He's 24th in the field in putting, 4th around the greens. And over his last 10 events, he's actually gained strokes more than not on tee to green and approach. That is something he has not done for his career, especially lately in his career. That's why he's had a surprisingly good 2023. I think he does enough tee to green because this is not a really difficult course off the tee. Still hits it plenty far enough to where hopefully he can make the cut, have a top 30 finish. The other option in this price range, and I really like him, is Kevin Yu, 7,000. Is there any DFS plays that you want to add to that or you are considering?
Straka.
Yep, I like Straka
Would
this week.
probably be one, and I still like Tom Kim this week. So,
He's a
and I
little
think
bit discount too for a field that's lacking. I think he's under
yeah,
9K.
yeah. So, I like him as well. But other than that, what was I going to say? There's something you said earlier, with one of your guys, and I was like, I had a comment, but as far as DK goes, because I'm still trying to pull it up in my head. But as far as DK goes, I would say again, like the Justin Thomas thing is always the classic. If you're gambling, it's one thing, but DFS it could be something totally different because guys can score in DFS and never have a shot to win, and that's where we have to remember that we need to draw the line somewhere.
Fowler did it at the U.S. Open where he finished, sixth? He scored the most points because he made so many birdies.
Yeah,
So it is possible,
yeah.
to have that kind of week. All right, let's move on to the betting board. Are you leaning, because a little surprised, I'm not going to lie, that you're getting 14 to 25 to 1 odds on these guys because we've had two heavy favorites win. Are you surprised that they're double digit? I know these guys don't win a lot, but I mean, when you look at Finau, Fowler, Morikawa, Hideki, Max Homa, JT, Tom Kim, Sanjay, Keegan, they are definitely the most talented guys in the field with by far the most wins. Are you a little surprised that you get a little better odds? And are you going to take a few chances on those guys this week with the history of the event?
No, I didn't. I wasn't surprised by any of the lines I really saw with the top guys. I just spread it out more. And I have what I would consider quote unquote 3 long shots and 3 guys with smaller odds. So I have 3 guys under 50 to 1 and 3 guys over 50 to 1. Whereas
your
usually
lowest? Let's start with your lowest one. Who you got?
Ricky Fowler, 14 to 1. It's just cliche, but I mean Rocket Mortgage. Come on, Ricky. But yeah, I think he's due to win at some point too. And 14 to 1 is still decent odds in this field. I'm not stressing about it. If worst case scenario, you can hedge with them. And now I definitely remember what I was going to say because it was about Fowler. In golf, what I've noticed as far as gambling goes, and golfers probably know this more than anybody else anyway. You just want to be you want to give yourself a chance to win. You can luck into a win if you're consistently top 10 and cracking the top 5 every now and then. You could literally get lucky and win. So the consistency is still, to me, an indication that he's somebody that you should back with your money. Because if let's say you bet Ricky every tournament this year and you hedged with the top 10 bet every time, you'd probably be breaking even at worst right now because he's had plenty of top 10s.
4 in a row.
Yeah, and there's been probably solid odds. You're probably getting them at like 5, 6 to 1 or something like that at top 10. And then now this tournament where there's a little bit more pushback, you can hedge with the top 5 because it's a weaker field.
I actually like hedging with the top 10. Plus 180, I think is good odds for Fowler when, again, he's finished in the top 15 in 7 out of 8 events. You would think in this field he should easily be able to finish top 10 with the way he's played.
Yeah, and just for math purposes, let's say you put 25 on them to win at 14 to 1. You could put 40 on him at plus 180, and if he gets that, then you get your money plus some back. So that's just like for the folks who are probably trying to figure out how do you go about doing that. I know not everybody is a professional degenerate, but that's just the simple math behind it. And people do that there's absolutely nothing wrong with hedging. I have a lot of pride in my bets, so I don't typically do it sometimes, but in golf for sure, it's definitely worth it with the longer odds.
All right. So I'm with you on Fowler. I do kind of like Hideki this week. I also feel like he's kind of due for a really good week. But to your point, I just can't take Morikawa again in an event that putting has been so important. I mean, obviously that scares me about Hideki too, but he's not as bad this year on the greens as Morikawa. I don't like Homa's form. And again, JT 18-1. I just don't feel like that's good enough odds with the way he's played this year and more importantly, putted to bet him to win, even though, again, I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth when I say I do like him for DK.
Well, that's wild. He's 18-1. I mean, that's an indication of where he is form wise now. There
he was 70-1. Remember at the U.S. Open, which
I was
gonna
say there's a time where JT was in an elevated event or a
like
major,
15-1,
and he was as low as almost 10-1 at times.
Yep.
Now he's in this and it's 18-1. So again, an indication of where he is form wise. A guy that I would keep an eye on, because if he comes together, if it looks like he's getting it back, then you want to jump on it as soon as possible because he will win. But it's not something that I feel like you should invest in pre-tournament. He's a live bet candidate.
All right, I've got a few guys in the 40 range that I find really interesting.
Did you do the 20 range? Because
you got one? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hype up Tom Kim.
You calling it this week?
Yeah, I just like him.
No, I know you're not calling, but I'm saying you could see him getting his first win this week.
I think with his game and this being a more score friendly event, I feel like it's a good opportunity for him to hit the board and win. So I've been watching him from time to time, and he's been pretty solid. He's a golfer I think has the ability to be streaky, and those kind of guys I also think do well at these events where scoring is high. That would be my reason for like why Scotty Scheffler you wouldn't really see necessarily win an event like this consistently, because he's a great golfer and he's consistent, but like I wouldn't call him like a guy that would knock out 11 birdies in a row type thing. Like he could do like 5 or 6, but these super streaky, higher variant golfers.
Hideki, to your point, none of those guys can get it going.
Yeah, those higher wide variant golfers typically do hit the board in these events, and I think Kim has a little bit of that in his game, and I'm looking forward to it. And another guy who I think might develop into that kind of golfer is our guy Bhatia. I feel like he's got that in his game at some point.
Again, Keegan is so interesting to me this week, but it's just so hard to win back-to-back weeks.
Oh, yeah,
that's why I do like him, though, 6-1 in top 5. I think that's decent odds. We talked about the Swede, Adberg. I don't think I could take him at 4-1 because I like those other guys better, but I do find the 9-1 to top 5 or 4-1 to top 10 very intriguing. But On and Harmon are the two guys at 40-1. And Eckert at 45-1. I like this range right here. On is, in several of those categories I talked about. Harmon's coming off a runner-up finish. He is a guy that wins a tournament about once every 3 years, kind of, seemingly out of nowhere. It's usually these easier events. And like I said, Eckert's playing as well as anybody on tour that's not one of the top guys the last month. Do you have any of those guys, or is there one of them that you prefer more than others?
I took Sepp Straka at 45-1, but On is somebody that I would say I don't have on my list, but I could see winning.
Makes a lot of birdies.
Yeah.
All right, who you got for some of your long shots?
Joseph Bramlett, who you mentioned, Mark Hubbard, who you mentioned as well. Bramlett 71, Hubbard's 80-1, and then Ches Reavie at 110-1.
I like it. Reavie, he definitely disappointed on Sunday, but what do we always talk about, right? He had not been in that situation forever. You could definitely tell there was nerves. It also hurts when neither of them, like Keegan played well for about a 5-hole stretch, and then he struggled, and it's really tough when you're in twosomes and both guys just don't have their game. It's easy to kind of get wrapped up into that. One of my favorite plays this week, Christian Buzenhout. I'm going to bet him 18-1 to top 5 and plus 750 to top 10. Again, he plays very well on easy courses. He has a history here. And then for my long shots, I like Nate Lashley, 110-1. Again, he's won here, playing decent. Brandon Todd, 110-1 is another one I really like. I know he's coming off an injury, but it's been several weeks ago. He says he's fine. This is the kind of course, again, that he should do well at. And then all the way down, I am going to throw a little juice on Aaron Badley, 250-1. One other guy I wanted to ask you about real quickly, Lanto Griffin.
No.
No.
I love Lanto, but he hasn't looked healthy, honestly. But
no, he has. I just was curious though, because he's 300 to 1. So I mean, you could get 20 to 1 on a top 10.
Yeah,
on
no,
Lanto
man.
Griffin right now. I like it.
He just hasn't looked like the Lanto I used to follow for props, and I'm still a fan. But sometimes I think when golfers, because he did come back from an injury, I just think sometimes you rush it a little bit, and then there's also those situations where if you're not using it, you lose it to some extent, and he's trying to pick it up as he plays. So I think I might have to come back to Lanto next year. But yeah, I'm off of it.
He needs to get some tour status is what scares me.
Yeah.
And that's again one reason why I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of came out of nowhere and played well, is because he really needs to. And sometimes it's amazing how these guys tend to kind of pull it out of their backside when that money's on the line, because there's a big difference between having full status and partial status and all that. Any love for Sam Bennett this week?
No. I usually like Sam Bennett more when it's a tougher course.
I'm with you there. Any other guys that you want to mention before we get out of here? Like I said, Kevin Yu is another guy that I do want to pay attention to. He's been playing very well. He's right now 90 to 1 to win, 18 to 1 to top 5, 8 to 1 to top 10. I actually really like that 8 to 1 to top 10 out of 3 of them. I don't know if he's ready to win, but he again fits the bill for a lot of those categories. I like that top 10 bet at 8 to 1.
I have Matt Wallace at top 10, 11 to 1.
He is somebody, again, he's got a good track record here.
Yeah.
He plays easy courses well, good putter. I almost included him in my DK plays this week. I like that.
That was the only one that I had mentioned. And other than that, Nate Lashley, I support taking a flyer on him as well at those odds. I mean, he's playing a lot better golf than being 110 to 1 in this field, man. That's a little kind of silly.
All right. Well, you got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
No. Other than football starting up soon, and yeah, no, and I need to get my Twitter more active instead of trolling Barstool Sports. I'm trying to get a better social media presence. And if you guys listen to the Inside Drive, I literally call like every day and just ramble on things. And today I had a great conversation with the former Major League player himself, talking about how changes in the game have made the game more popular. Attendance is up like 8% or something like that. And it's just a good show. I think it's a very good show for guys who like golf and guys who just want to hear like unbiased sports talk. So I know it's not really a promotion for me, but I feel like they support us, and we should definitely do our job to support them as well.
Absolutely. Well, for Alan, Keith Flemming, this has been the 2 Off the Tee. We got the Open Championship coming up, then the FedEx, and then me and Alan do so much stuff with football. Sadly, I don't think we will be doing any golf shows and stuff during the fall wraparound season. I know that might disappoint some people, but we want to make money in football.
Yeah, no, I'll be completely honest with people, man. Like my fall is college football. You got baseball in full swing, which I've been watching all year anyway. And then you have NFL starting, and then by the time you catch your breath, boom, here comes college basketball in this bowl season. So it's super busy, and that's why we didn't start this year until after like the Super Bowl. I will be entering into the professional contest out in Vegas. I'm gonna fly out next month and pay the $1,000 entry and sign up. So I'm gonna be busy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to those picks this year. But
yeah, man, hopefully so.
Keith and Alan, this has been 2 Off the Tee. Be sure to check out fantasy6pack.com. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. You can hit the subscribe button if you're listening to this right now if you haven't already. And we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Take care.